Some airplanes were good. Others won battles. But only a few stood the test of time and became true legends. Machines that shaped generations, changed the way people flew, and still command respect today just by hearing their name. And among so many aviation classics, which ones are the rarest and most legendary of all time? Today, we are taking a journey through 10 aircraft that brought together engineering, courage, and history, starting with impressive models and ending with the ones that practically defined an era. Stay with me until the end, because the aircraft that closes this list is not just famous. It is one of the greatest symbols in aviation history. Focke-Wulf FW-190. Released in 1941 by Focke-Wulf in Germany, the FW-190 was designed to be a brutal, durable fighter, far tougher than many of its rivals at the time. It arrived at a moment when air warfare demanded aircraft that were fast, aggressive, and capable of taking real punishment. Its biggest technical highlight was the BMW 801 radial engine, with 14 cylinders and around 41 liters of displacement, producing roughly 1,700 to 2,000 horsepower depending on the version. In many variants, it could exceed 650 kilometers per hour, with strong acceleration for a fighter of its era and a very respectable climb rate. Its transmission, in the automotive sense, does not apply here like it would in a car, but the aircraft did feature power management and a variable pitch propeller, both essential for extracting performance at different altitudes and in different combat situations. In practice, what made the FW-190 so feared was its combination of power, dive speed, reinforced structure, and heavy armament. It was a fighter that gave off a sense of brute force. Visually, it had a short nose, a compact fuselage, and an aggressive presence that seemed to announce an attack the moment it appeared on the horizon. It was used as a fighter, interceptor, and even a fighter-bomber. It solved an important problem for the Germans by offering a platform that was more durable and versatile than more delicate aircraft under certain conditions. Today, it is remembered as one of the most respected fighters of the Second World War, and original surviving examples are extremely rare. What stands out is that many Allied pilots quickly learned that underestimating it was a costly mistake, and that already shows that the next machine takes this list to an even higher level. Mitsubishi A6M Zero, Model 22-0. Released by Mitsubishi in Japan in 1942, in this Model 22 version, the Zero already arrived surrounded by fame. It was the evolution of a fighter that early in the Pacific War seemed almost untouchable. Lightweight, agile, and blessed with enormous range, it became a symbol of Japanese aviation. Its engine was a Nakajima Sake with 14 cylinders and around 28 liters, delivering close to 1,130 horsepower. Top speed was in the range of 540 kilometers per hour, with lively control response and excellent maneuverability in close combat. The Zero impressed less through brute force and more through lightness. It was the kind of fighter that seemed to glide through the sky naturally. The pilot felt an obedient, sensitive, and deadly aircraft when it was used the right way. Its greatest strength was range. For a carrier-based fighter of that period, that made a huge difference. It could escort, attack, and operate at distances that surprised its enemies. That said, the aircraft paid a price for that lightness. Protection and armor were very limited. In practice, it was decisive in Japan's early Pacific campaigns and became an instant icon. Its clean, elegant design contrasted sharply with the violence of its mission. The Zero is one of the most recognizable aircraft of the 20th century, and it is interesting to think that much of its mystique comes from that rare balance of beauty, range, and lethality. But the next aircraft on this list traded delicacy for brutal presence and became an absolute legend of carrier aviation. Vought F4U Corsair. Released in 1940 by Vought in the United States, the Corsair looked fast even while standing still. Created for carrier operations and heavy combat, it quickly earned fame for combining outrageous power with unmistakable styling. Its Pratt & Whitney R2800 engine had 18 cylinders and about 46 liters of displacement, generating around 2,000 horsepower in the early versions and even more in later ones. That allowed top speeds near 720 kilometers per hour in some variants, a remarkable number for the time. The Corsair stood out because of its long nose, huge propeller, and inverted gull wing, a solution created to accommodate the massive propeller without requiring extremely tall landing gear. That feature alone gave it a personality of its own. In the air, it was fast, powerful in a dive, and deadly in combat. It did not have the Zero's pure lightness, but it made up for it with power, durability, and a greater ability to absorb damage. The sound of the engine gave off the feeling of a nervous machine, almost untamable. It was used in Pacific combat, ground attack, and naval missions. Its role was to solve one of the central challenges of carrier air warfare by offering serious speed and firepower without giving up useful operational range. The Corsair became a legend among pilots and enthusiasts, including in the post-war years, and for a long time, its appearance alone was enough to stop any airplane lover in their tracks. If this journey through aviation history is already pulling you in, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell, because from here on out, only names that marked the skies in an even deeper way are coming up. Because now, the list starts entering the territory of machines that did not just fight, but helped change the course of the war. North American B-25 Mitchell. Released in 1940 by North American Aviation in the United States, the B-25 Mitchell was a medium bomber that earned respect through versatility. It was not the biggest, not the fanciest, and not the fastest in its class, but it did many things well, and in war, that is worth a lot. It used two Wright R2600 radial engines, each with 14 cylinders and around 25 liters of displacement. They produced approximately 3,400 horsepower combined, allowing top speeds of around 440 to 500 kilometers per hour, depending on the version. What mattered here was balance. The B-25 could carry bombs, operate from difficult airstrips, fly long distances, and still accept modifications for different roles. Some versions had a glazed nose for bombing, while others were nearly transformed into attack platforms with extremely heavy forward-firing armament. Visually, it projected strength and confidence. It was an aircraft with honest lines, no excess, but with the look of a serious wartime tool. The interior was functional, built for hard work. Its most legendary moment came during the Doolittle raid, when B-25s launched from an aircraft carrier to strike Japan, something that seemed unlikely until it actually happened. That alone would be enough to secure its place in history. Today, it is remembered as one of the most important medium bombers of all time, and from here on, the list enters a level where each aircraft feels larger, heavier, and even more symbolic. Avro Lancaster. Released in 1942 by Avro in the United Kingdom, the Lancaster became Britain's great heavy bomber of the Second World War. It was a machine built for serious payloads, long missions, and real strategic impact. The aircraft used 4 Rolls-Royce Merlin engines, each with 12 cylinders in a V configuration and around 27 liters of displacement. Together, they produced more than 5,000 horsepower. Its top speed was around 460 kilometers per hour, which did not look spectacular on paper, but that was never its purpose. Its job was to bring a large payload to the target, preferably at night and deep into enemy territory. The Lancaster had presence, wide wings, a long fuselage, huge internal volume, and the appearance of a functional giant. It looked less like a sporty airplane and more like a weapon of war built for decisive missions. It was used in strategic bombing and highly specific operations, including missions with special weapons in famous actions. It helped solve a critical British need by delivering large payloads in complex and sustained operations. Its legacy is immense. For many people, it represents the peak of the British heavy bomber, and there is something almost unbelievable in its history. It carried bombs so massive that very few aircraft of the period could even dream of lifting something similar off the ground. Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress. Released in 1938 by Boeing in the United States, the B-17 Flying Fortress became a synonym for toughness. The nickname Flying Fortress was not an exaggeration. It gave exactly the impression the name promised. Equipped with 4 Wright R1820 engines, each with 9 cylinders and around 29 liters of displacement, the whole package delivered over 4,000 horsepower combined. Its top speed sat close to 515 kilometers per hour, with enough range for heavy missions over Europe. The B-17 was not impressive only because of its numbers, but because of its reputation. This was an aircraft that returned to base in absurd condition. Holes in the fuselage, missing sections, damage that looked incompatible with flight, and yet it still appeared on the horizon. Visually, the B-17 had something majestic about it. The metallic fuselage, the glazed nose, and the tight formation of multiple examples in the sky created an image that became a symbol of American air warfare. In practice, it served as a daytime strategic bomber and helped turn precision bombing into a central part of the Allied campaign. More than just attacking, it helped maintain constant pressure on the enemy's industrial machine. Today, it is one of the most revered aircraft in history. Its legacy blends technology, sacrifice, and survival. And as legendary as it is, the next aircraft took the idea of the heavy bomber to an even more impressive level. Boeing B-29 Superfortress. Released in 1944 by Boeing in the United States, the B-29 Superfortress represented such a major technological leap that it seemed to belong to the next generation. It was a heavy bomber, but with solutions that were extremely advanced for its time. It used 4 Wright R3350 engines with 18 cylinders each and about 55 liters of displacement per engine. Combined power went well beyond 8,000 horsepower. Its top speed was around 570 to 575 kilometers per hour. Excellent for an aircraft of that size. What truly mattered about the B-29 was the complete package. Pressurized cabin, advanced defensive turrets, great range, high payload capacity, and long-distance mission capability. It was cutting-edge technology applied on a wartime scale. It felt like a machine that was both refined and enormous at the same time. Cleaner, more modern, and more sophisticated than many earlier bombers. It gave the impression of power guided by intelligence. Its use in the Pacific was decisive. It was built to strike from far away, carry a heavy load, and operate efficiently in demanding strategic conditions. It solved a critical problem by reaching long distances with major destructive capability. Its name became permanently tied to the end of the Second World War, and that alone makes it one of the most historic aircraft of all time. But from here, the list crosses back beyond war and returns to a much simpler, almost delicate machine that helped open the path for everything that came after it. Blériot XI. Released in 1909 by Louis Blériot in France, the Blériot XI belongs to a time when flying still seems like a mechanical miracle. Compared to the giants of war, it was simple, fragile, and even modest. But its historical importance is enormous. Its engine varied depending on the configuration, but one of the best-known versions used a 3-cylinder engine producing something around 25 horsepower. Top speed was close to 70 to 75 kilometers per hour. There was no fighter-bomber brutality here. This was pure pioneering spirit. The Blériot XI was practically a light framework with wings, cables, and a small engine, all very exposed. The pilot flew in the open air, feeling every vibration, every oscillation, and every change of direction in a very direct way. What matters about this aircraft is not military performance, but the size of the step it represented. In 1909, it was in a Blériot XI that Louis Blériot crossed the English Channel, proving to the world that aviation had a practical future and was not just a demonstration for technology fairs. In aviation culture, it is a monument, one of the true great pioneers of flight. And preserved examples, or faithful replicas, create fascination because they remind us of how it all began. It is impressive to think that such a simple machine helped change the future of transportation, war, and technology. And even with all that historical weight, there are still two names left that for many people represent the emotional peak of classic aviation. North American P-51 Mustang. Released in 1941 by North American Aviation in the United States, the P-51 Mustang showed promise from the beginning, but reached another level once it started using the license-built Merlin engine. From that point on, it became one of the most important escort fighters of the war. Its Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, or Packard Merlin in the American-built versions, was a V12 of around 27 liters, delivering roughly 1,500 to 1,700 horsepower depending on the version. With that, the Mustang could reach close to 700 kilometers per hour while maintaining excellent range for long missions. And that is exactly where it shined. It was not just fast, it was not just beautiful. It could escort bombers over long distances, protect formations, and still fight with tremendous effectiveness. That changed the balance of the air war. The P-51 had rare elegance. Long nose, clean canopy, fine lines, and an almost perfect stance. It was the kind of airplane that combined efficiency and beauty in a way that is hard to repeat. In flight, it projected precision. It was fast, stable in cruise, highly capable at altitude, and deadly in the right hands. It became a benchmark for high-performance fighters with long range. The Mustang entered popular culture, museums, air racing, and the memory of everyone who loves aviation. And there is something symbolic in that. Many people consider the P-51 the most well-balanced piston engine fighter ever built. But at the top of this list is a name that for many people is simply the definitive image of the word legend. Supermarine Spitfire. Released in 1938 by Supermarine in the United Kingdom, the Spitfire is more than a historic airplane. It is an absolute icon, one of those rare cases where engineering, appearance, sound, and symbolism come together almost perfectly. Its most famous engine was the Rolls-Royce Merlin, a V12 of approximately 27 liters, producing from a little over 1,030 horsepower to more than 1,700 horsepower across different versions. In the best-known variants, top speed ranged from over 580 to more than 700 kilometers per hour in later developments. But with the Spitfire, what truly matters goes beyond the numbers. It was the way it responded in flight, its turning ability, its aerodynamic harmony, and the way it seemed born for combat. The elliptical wing became a visual signature and a symbol of functional elegance. It played a central role in Britain's defense, especially during the Battle of Britain, and its image became tied to the resistance of an entire nation. Very few aircraft carry such strong emotional weight. Visually, the Spitfire is one of those airplanes that looks beautiful from any angle. In sound, the Merlin produces a note that stirs memory, even in people who have never flown anything. In presence, it does not need to look huge to command respect. Its legacy is almost unmatched. Museums, air shows, million-dollar restorations, and worldwide admiration keep this name alive to this day. And maybe that is the clearest sign of greatness. The Spitfire did not become famous only because it fought well. It became an eternal symbol of the golden age of piston engine aviation itself. At the end of the day, this list showed much more than 10 old airplanes. It showed 10 chapters of aviation history itself. From the fragile, pioneering spirit of the Blériot XI to the combat elegance of the Spitfire, passing through the brutality of the bombers and the strength of the fighters that ruled the skies. Each of these machines helped build the world that came after. These aircraft are not just museum pieces or famous names in war books. They represent human talent, courage, technology, and moments when flying meant much more than crossing distances. It meant surviving, defending, exploring, and changing the course of history. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these aircraft impressed you the most as a complete package? Which one do you think best represents the word legend in aviation? And which model from this list would you most want to see up close in a museum or at an air show? If you enjoy this kind of content, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell. That is very important for the growth of the channel, because it shows YouTube that our content is relevant and helps this video reach more people who also love these historic machines. And stay tuned, because every week there's a new video about the most incredible vehicles and machines in history. See you in the next video.